Okay, friends, on your popular demand, I'm with Shanti here in Seattle in this beautiful residence over here. And I have to tell you, in 2 days, I haven't had one dream. I don't remember any dream. I'm sleeping like a baby over here. So refreshing. And welcome, Santi. And today I just want to have a chit chat with you about meditation, Osho, and how are you feeling now, what you are doing. Okay, just a chit chat. So you're such a loving person. You're such a welcoming person. You feed us. You make sure everything is taken care of. So Santi, is your path of love or meditation? And is there any difference between path of love and meditation? What do you think? Can love take us into deep meditation?
Well, you phrased it as if I'm on the path of love. And I think I'm on the path of meditation. I really do. Um, because the whole reason I started the journey was to learn how to meditate. I couldn't sit still and I wanted to learn about meditation. And if I read a book, I didn't understand any of it and I couldn't sit still, so I couldn't meditate. So, so the minute I met Osho and he would give me many different meditation techniques to do, I was like a kid in a candy store.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when he gave me dynamic, um, I loved it because before I had met Osho, I was living in California, and I had my first husband and I had split up, and I didn't like him at all. My husband, I mean, it was over. But I cried. I cried for 6 months, and I was like, "Why am I crying? I don't even want to be with him." And um, and then I came at the same time. The person who developed Primal Scream, I'm pretty sure it was at the same time as I was living in California. And so I read a book on Primal Scream and I started to scream and yell at my parents and do all this. But I loved the cathartic part. I loved the cathartic. And then one day I was screaming my head off and crying and screaming. And then one day I was like, my parents weren't that bad. This scream is something else. This this particular scream, it's like I still don't know what this scream is. It's like I feel mankind is screaming at such deep pain. Like today, I saw a young woman because I work at the market selling things, and she had on her T-shirt was every part of me is in pain. That's
Mm.
what she had on her T-shirt, and she looked very healthy. So I went, she's in emotional pain. She put it on her T-shirt, and I feel that's the same with mankind. And so when Osho developed Mystic Rose, so I didn't, the laughter part I didn't really know about, but I understood tears and the crying and the depth of it. And I feel in Mystic Rose, of course, the laughter is really good. I've learned that you can go so deep into different states of laughter and reach like where you're just a child again.
But Dama, why is it so difficult to cry, especially
But
for a man?
the tears are, and Osho has said it. The reason he has us laugh first is because we're laughing for 7 days, 3 hours a day. So often, many people, having laughed that much, their tears start to come up.
Mm.
There, everything that has been pushed down starts to come up. And so sometimes you have to guide a person when you lead Mr. Rose to no, you have to laugh at those tears that want to come up during laughter. The reason it's harder to access is that our tears and sadness is so deeply buried, very deeply, deeply our wounds, our hurts. And I feel like I actually feel all of war is and hatred and anger, pain, um, greed, having to get ahead. It's all like because of our inner tears and sadness and just wanting all of that to come out, but no, you can't express that. That looks weird. You'll be put in a madhouse for that. And you look at what in America. I mean, even David Geet, the dentist, I remember him once making fun of, well, like the Europeans, they can express their many complex moods, but Americans, he said this, the happy face, you know, and that's true. Like, don't I have friends that everything has to be positive. You don't go into your anger, your sadness, your tears, that's negative. You don't look there. But that's a deep part of humanity. And how can you ever understand it unless if you go deeply into it, into all the realms of your whole being? That's what meditation is, exploring all the different parts of ourselves and understanding all of the greed and hatred and jealousy, really understanding those, and fears and need to be better and need to be worse, inferior, and just all of this, all the aspects of the minds and the emotion. You, you have to learn how to dive deeply into them, to understand them, to know them. And then from my experience, just my experience, that's where compassion comes. Yeah? Like when somebody says, oh, you have to be compassionate. I was like, what the fuck is that? What, like put on a face and be, oh, I'm sorry for you. No, that's not compassion. No, compassion is when you have walked through your inner and continue to walk through the realms of your inner madness and hell and misunderstandings and and begin to really delve and understand them and explore them and taste them and how it affects the body and then there can be compassion arises.
So, for me, before meditation, like I look for love, I look for attention, I want others' attention, I want others to appreciate me. But after I practice meditation, I feel so filled that I want to share love, I want to go and hug. So, what happens then? What happens after meditation that we feel so loving and so happy with ourselves?
But I mean, that might be your path. I don't always feel that way.
True.
Sometimes I feel like I feel more. I don't feel always loving or wanting to share. I feel more inward and wanting to just kind of go inside myself and see all the aspects of myself. And
So
then sometimes.
So when you worked in Pune, what kind of work did you do, and was it your meditation? So did you able to witness whatever was happening outside? Was it helpful for you in Pune? You said you worked under Lakshmi, right? When she was a secretary.
She was a way above. I
Secretary. What
didn't
did you
work
do?
with Lakshmi. She, okay. So, all right, this is interesting. So, first work I did in the commune was I helped make pakoras.
Pakoras, wow.
Because I loved pakoras, and there was the ashram was really loosey goosey then. There wasn't any real structure as far as I know. But so I would go after discourse and help make pakoras because I wanted to eat as many pakoras as possible. And I didn't have that much money, and that way I got to eat as many as I wanted. That was my first. And then it was hot season, and there was one girl from New York who was in charge of the morning preparation. Maybe she was in charge of the kitchen, but there wasn't really a kitchen. It was just a some burners, like kerosene burners, and 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 um, and we would cook on, like, we would chop vegetables on a picnic table. I don't know if you want this on your
No, no, it's
interview. I
fine.
got to
Yeah.
tell you this. So it was hot season, and and there was only three. There was like I think a small kitchen, very small kitchen, and then there were really dirty latrines, like maybe two or three, and there was maybe an office or something in these little houses. That was all. There was only Lao Tzu and Krishna House at that time. And then there was this picnic table across from the tiny little place that was the kitchen. And we would cut the onions on it, and to make the pakoras, and even probably cook them there. I don't remember, or maybe in the little kitchen they cooked them. But one day, the person who was in charge, and I remember she was a New Yorker, and she took the toilet broom that was used to clean the dirty toilets. There were only two little squat toilets, not regular toilets, squat toilets. And she took the broom. I don't think you want this on your thing. And she cleaned the table with where we're cutting vegetables.
Did that bring your anger
Where
up?
I was furious. What the fuck are you doing? And I ran, and I don't know if I got bleach or Listerine. I mean, was it lysine? I think, not lysine, or whatever there was in India that you used for Dettol, maybe it was Dettol. Anyway, I was in shock, and I scrubbed it. I mean, what are you thinking? You're mad. We're cooking here. What? This is just nuts, And and that's how I remember that. And then I think I slowly started to really work in the commune, and I helped. One thing I remember is I would pack books that were being shipped to America or Europe or parts of India, and you had to pack them. You had to sew cloth around them, and then you had to use a seal and put, like with a candle, a red seal, and burn things so that they were sealed. And that's because otherwise things would get stolen. People would open them up and stuff.
So Osho used all these as meditation, work as meditation. Did it help you too?
I don't know if he then talked about it at that point. I don't remember, but I was just working because I also I got to go to the discourses for free then. I think that was it, yeah. And so I was just, and it was something to do. I didn't, there weren't, when I first came to Osho, there weren't workshops, there were meditation camps and meditations. That's it. And then,
which one was your favorite meditation that you loved?
No, I really like all of them.
All of them.
I really, I don't have a favorite. I love all of the meditations. It was so delicious, and from them from the active ones, I could then sit still. So I didn't have a favorite. But anyway, so then what happened was I was working, packing books, and one day Sheila calls me. And I didn't know really Sheila. I had seen her around, that's all. I just seen her in the ashram, and she was one of Lakshmi's helpers. And she called and asked me if I would clean the toilets for 1 week, because the person who was cleaning them, and he's Indian Vedant. I don't think you know him. Not the Vedant you might know, not that one, a different one. But he was going to go visit his parents for a week, and would I clean the toilets? And I remember looking at her, and inside I was like, is she punishing me? I mean, I didn't even know her. I don't think we'd ever talked, though we had common friends. I don't think she and I had ever talked. But another part of me was like, oh yes, I want to do that, because the toilets were so disgusting. At that time then, there were more toilets built, not the ones I told you, just those two. They were so dirty and terrible to go to that I used to, whenever I had to go to the bathroom, would ride my bicycle home. to go to the bathroom in my own apartment. Yeah. And so I went, and the first time how my mother taught me to clean was to clean toilets, was my first job, clean bathroom floors and toilets and everything. So I went, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And also, like you asked me, what is my path? Well, when I became interested in meditation, I mean, I didn't know about paths or anything, but the meditation I was drawn to was Zen, sitting and facing the wall. That was my meditation that I was interested in. So through stories, you know, like cleaning is one of the Zen practices, sweeping the grounds. That's what they do, the monks, cleaning everything. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'll clean the toilets. And there was also like, well, who am I if I'm just a toilet cleaner? Like, who is that me? Is that all I am? So that was like part was, well, who am I then? And then I started cleaning the really, really, really disgusting toilets. And they were so filthy. And the dog, I didn't know this. I didn't know. It was 20 years later, I learned that Vedant was a really incredible architect.
Wow.
And he designed the park, the Nala Park. You know, I mean, he was like, and you know, in India, that was like the lowest caste to clean toilets. And here he was cleaning toilets. But I didn't know any of his history or his background. But so Vedant didn't know anything of cleaning toilets. So he only used the toilet, a broom, and he cleaned the bowl and the walls and the handles. There was no disinfectant in the bathrooms. And I went and I ordered everything, and I had different scrubbies for the walls and a toilet brush for the toilet only, and I really sanitized
So
everything.
while working, did you have any conflict with other people who is cleaning toilet or doing?
No, there was nobody. I was the only one cleaning the toilets. And finally, I didn't have to go home, ride my bicycle home because the toilets were clean. And I went into ecstasy.
Wow.
I went into utter ecstasy. And the showers, there were showers there or in another toilet. I can't remember now. Maybe they were at the same place. They were so filthy. And I'd take my clothes off and I'd clean all the shower. I was in utter ecstasy. And all at the same time, it was like, well, who am I? You know, who am I? And I was in ecstasy. I wasn't in ecstasy when I made pakoras or I was in ecstasy because of the taste, but this was like ecstasy.
How old were you then?
I was like 27.
27?
Yeah.
And then
so then the week ended, and I went to Sheila and I said, can I stay cleaning the toilets? And she must have been shocked, but everybody noticed the difference in the toilets and the bathrooms and everything. And she went, okay. And so then, like what happened, I stayed for 1 year cleaning the toilets. And people, yeah, and people would come then there became shifts of people to help clean the toilets. So it was done all day long, because more and more people were coming to the commune. And even Milarepa came. He came to clean toilets. And he was just Milarepa then. I didn't even, he was just some guy. And he said to me, Shanti, when I taught him, like, and this scrubby, the blue one is for the walls, and the red one is for the handle, and this one is for the floor, the green one, and you never mix them up, and they have their own little cups and containers. And he went, don't you think you're a bit extreme? And I went, no, Miller, that's just weird you say that. I'm being sanitary. And people were getting less sick because it had been really unsanitary, to go there. And after a year, and I don't remember how this happened, but I was slowly getting tired of cleaning toilets. And and at that time, my boyfriend and I were asked to live in the commune. And I remember this one guy, he was an actor, an English actor, and he was really upset. He said, I can't believe it. A toilet cleaner is asked and not me to join the commune, you know. And somewhere I was like, well, who am I? It was like, really, who am I? Am I just a toilet cleaner, or what is this that goes into ecstasy? Who's the one that's going into these states? Hang on, I'm going to sneeze. I was like, and so then I don't know how this happened, but um, then I met Paras, who was in charge of cleaning, and slowly she and I became both in charge of cleaning. And I left the toilets. Like, that was one part of the cleaning department. So I worked in Chiono. We named it Chiono. Chiono was a really great place. We called it Chiono because that was, as I remember, it was maybe the first woman I ever heard, a woman who became enlightened, that Osho had ever spoken about. And her name, she was a Japanese nun, and she was carrying water, and the bucket, and she could see the reflection of the moon, and then the bottom of the bucket broke, and the water came out, and the reflection of the moon disappeared, and she became awakened from that. So then Paris and I wanted to name the cleaning department Chiono, and that's what it became called. And then we had just a little space behind the go down, which was a building. It was like in an alleyway. That's all we had and more and more people were coming, and I was super clean. I mean, I liked everything really clean. And so we were cleaning people's rooms, the people that lived there, we were cleaning the offices, we were doing everything. And I don't know how this happened, but maybe I went to Lakshmi and I asked her if we could have a space built for the cleaners, like to gather, like the kitchen workers, they gathered around the kitchen. But the cleaners, we had this little alley, and there was at the end, there were 150 of us cleaning.
And how was Lakshmi? Was she understanding?
Oh my God. So then this is what was really cool. So Lakshmi asked Diksha to build us a place. And Diksha said, they don't need a place. I guess. I don't know what happened. So yeah, Diksha did not want to build a place for the cleaners. Maybe Diksha just wanted to be in charge of everything. I don't really know what is. But anyhow, so Paras and I, so then we devised this plan, and we invited Lakshmi to come to the area where the cleaners had their supplies, down that little alleyway. And we were and so I went and I got Lakshmi, and Diksha was following with her. And all of the cleaners were in that little alleyway, all squished with all of the cleaning supplies for the whole commune. And the commune was growing and growing and growing. There was many more properties. And then when Lakshmi came, they all stuck their head out of the alleyway and went, "Hi, Lakshmi!" And Lakshmi turned to Diksha and went, "Build them a house for their supplies." And so a beautiful place was built called Chiono. Yeah, for the cleaners.
And at that time, did you get chance to meet Osho? How often you used to meet?
I met Osho.
Darshan, or
I met Osho a lot. Like, even before that time, I met him because
personally,
I met him personally because when I first took sannyas, it was just one-on-one.
Oh.
Yeah, it was in Bombay, and then even in Pune, it was one-on-one at first, and then it became like a darshan.
Were you nervous or happy, excited, or what was your feeling? Do you remember?
No, I wasn't nervous. No, I was meeting the master. I mean, I was a disciple, and I had questions, or just wanted to see him or be near him. I do remember one time going into a darshan. This is when more people came, and we went in and we'd line up. And I remember going into the darshan, and I saw the mind worrying, blah, 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 blah. And I walked into Lao Tzu gate, and the mind disappeared. I was stepping closer to his consciousness, his empty being. It was like radiating.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, it just disappeared. And no, it was amazing to be in.
And after so
his
many
presence.
years now, what does it mean for you to be a disciple? What does that mean to you now?
Now, it's everything. He's totally in my whole life, my being. It it's it means everything. It's everything. He's inside. I mean, one time at the ranch, someone said Osho's going to die. He said he's going to die. And I remember at the ranch going, oh my God, I'm not ready for him to die. I didn't use that word, but he's not inside me yet. I had to see him, and then he's inside, but I had to be there in his presence. But if he dies, then I would be lost. And I remember him saying that Mayor Baba said, don't look at me, look where I'm pointing, And when I would sit in Osho's presence, or I feel like probably any enlightened person's presence, and there's a word for it, it's either darshan or satsang, you're actually absorbing this incredible energy of a person who has reached another state of consciousness. You're kind of eating it. It's like when Jesus said, eat of me, you're eating that. And you're being nourished by it. So I remember at the ranch going, I'm going to do everything so when he dies, I've eaten him totally, or I've absorbed him inside. And when I heard he left the body, I was there. I was in Pune. I was sitting in one of the front rows, and I just remember going, he's there. I've absorbed him. That was almost the first thought was, oh, that's why I was being pulled. I felt such a pull to go to Japan at that time. But the second thought was, I've absorbed him. He's inside. And from then on, it's up to me. And I've heard him say, it's when I'm not in the body, it's up to you to find me inside. To find that nourishment inside. And that's what I've been doing.
So for people who do not know Osho or new meditators or next generation sannyasis, how do we find Osho inside, or how do we feel? How do we eat him up like you did?
Well, okay. So Osho might not be for you, for everybody. I don't think Osho's for everybody. Mm-hmm. But whenever you find someone who you're just bowing down to, like, this is my master, I'm going to learn meditation, I'm going to absorb him, then it's different. Then you start the meditations or whatever his teachings are, listening, sitting in his presence. If he's no longer alive, if there's audios or videos, listening to them, and just absorbing. It's not that you're doing anything. It's like, I'm going to sit and absorb now. You don't even know you're doing it. I didn't know I was doing it. And the first time, it wasn't the first time I left India, but the second time, I actually had been working in the house where Osho lived, and all of a sudden I had this feeling, I've got to leave. And also I needed to make money, but it was like, it's like I've got to leave. If I stay, I'm going to be missing Osho. And I kept feeling, this is so esoteric, but I really kept feeling if I leave, I could just see it. I would be walking into Osho. I know that sounds esoteric, but that's how it felt. It kept feeling like that. In the meantime, some people, head disciples who people thought were head disciples, were saying, "Oh, if you leave, you'll really miss." So finally, I went to Osho, and I told them that. I said, people, Tirtha was his name, was saying, if you leave, you'll really miss it. But I keep feeling I've got to leave, and if I leave, I'll be walking into you, and if I stay, I'll be missing. And he turned to me and he said, "Don't ever listen to anyone else. You're listening so well, Shanti. You listen to yourself and your path." And so I left, and I went to Germany, and I earned money there. But it was there in Germany I saw, oh my God, that's what Jesus means when he says, "Eat of me." It's like I've been eating them, but not eating in my mouth. It was absorbing through my skin, through my essence. And I wasn't brought up Christian. So I only, in America, you hear all that because it's mainly a Christian country. So, it was like, but I understood it. And then I understood the word. I think it's darshan, isn't it? Where you absorb the energy of the master. I understood what that meant. And so it happens. It's not like you can make it happen, but it just happens where everything becomes, also an awakened person, they're they're all saying, as far as I understand, or the ones that I've met, is, "Don't look at me, look where I'm pointing." But if you sit in their presence, that's also pointing, because that energy around them is emptiness. It's your potential, when the mind is gone, what it's like to sit in this utter consciousness, utter silence that's pulsating all around the whole universe. That's like the beating of the heart, but the heartbeat of the universe, really. And then a master is holding that energy because they've dived into it. In a way, I was brought up in the Jewish religion, so there was a burning bush. Moses came upon a burning bush. That's a story we heard. And I thought, oh, maybe the burning bush is like that, the mystery of life, It's again just a mystery. Even being pulled to India. I was pulled to India. Hey, this little American girl with all this conditioning pulled to India. I couldn't do anything else. That's part of the mystery. That's bigger than the mind. Mind doesn't know. Mind is small. It knows only what it has learned, and reads the newspapers or learns from the society it is in, and reading books and things like that. What it gets conditioned in.
Right.
But the vastness, like in for me, my path of meditation, you kind of start to trip into other realms of yourself, other dimensions, and the smell. I can smell Osho, the smell, and the diving deep, sitting in his presence. I would go listening to discourse into deep, deep states within myself that I never knew about. And then having a master is the outer. It's like, because I'm very fear oriented, so it's like, but I can hold on to him. I could hold on to as if he's somebody, because there's a body. I could hold on to it. But really, it's diving, it's like a little kid learning to swim for the first time, or walk, and moving into the unknown. And I felt he is guiding me into the unknown realms. Yeah.
So, Shanti, in the end, can you talk a little bit about World of Meditation? What is an event? How can people join with you guys?
All right. Oh, okay.
I did Jajin other day. It was so beautiful, and I feel so good practicing that meditation. Honestly, I never liked Jajin before that.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally understand. I totally understand. So we have, so one day Osho said to me, this is a time when I came back from Seattle. I grew up in Seattle. That's where I live, Seattle, Washington, USA. And I always wanted to leave Seattle. Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be out of Seattle. I wanted to see the world. And I told my mom I was a gypsy, and she said, "No, no, you're not. Every Halloween I dress as a gypsy." And so my journey led me like a gypsy around the world, into Osho's arms, into Japan, into Europe. And but one time when I came back to Seattle to earn money, the first time after I left Osho, the very first time I was away for 5 months earning money. And when I came back, I was telling him of some people I had met in Seattle. And then he turned to me and he said, "Well, when you come home, you'll be of great help to me." So I was like, I wanted to say to him, I'm never going to go back to Seattle. I'm not going home. And then, but I didn't say it. I just thought that's a weird comment he made. And then when I walked out of Darshan, I went, "Oh yeah, I think I've heard him talk about when you come home, like when you become awake." And I went, "Oh, of course, yeah. Anybody comes home, they'll be of great help." That's what I thought he meant. But years later, and then I just felt like I had to settle somewhere. I had to stop being the gypsy. I wanted to ground myself. And my mom was still living in Seattle. My father had died. And I was like, I want to go home. I kind of made a pact inside myself to be there for when my mom dies. And so I want to go home and be with her and take care of her. So go back to Seattle. I was going back to Seattle. I was on the plane heading towards Seattle. And I went, "Oh my God, I'm coming back home. I'm coming to where he said when you come home, and I'm coming home." And all I really wanted to do was, all I could think of, because my whole world had been meditation, was, well, I want to share the meditation techniques. And and because there must be other people that want to meditate, but they can't sit still. So I feel like the world of meditation has two wings. One wing is just to introduce, like you did yesterday, you introduce meditation techniques, active meditation, because many people, you hear, I couldn't sit for 2 minutes. That's what I told Osho. I can't sit, and many people can't sit still. But through the active, and he said to me, "You do my meditations, I promise you could sit still." I can. I can now sit still. So I want to introduce that. There's also another wing, was to have my friends, and we gather and we have satsang, and those who are interested in Osho. So maybe there are people, because like in Seattle and in America, at least at that time, nobody really knows. Nobody's tasted a mystic, or most people have never tasted, know of such a thing. What is a mystic? What that know anything of that dimension? And so if there's the other wing is, if anybody's interested to know of the realms of enlightened people. It wasn't just when I taught my meditation classes at community college, I would teach. It was also to share, and I love this with Osho because he talked about so many different mystics. So I shared all the different mystics that I could, that were connected to different meditations, like Nada Brahma, Tibetan meditation. So I'd say, well, there's such a school as Tibetan Buddhism. And I would share it, I don't think I ever taught Zazen in a meditation class, but I always told the history, like Sufi whirling, no dimensions. I talk about the Sufis, or different different awakened people. And I feel it's really important, because people don't know about that here. Nobody's ever experienced. I mean, some people have, like, but most people haven't. No, they don't know anything of what it means to be with an enlightened person.
Okay, thank you so much, Santi. And friends, you can go to worldofmeditation.com. They have event listed over there. You can join in
We have
Zoom
a website, www.worldofmeditation.com.
and you can contact Subhan or Santi, and they have in-person satsang at some time. So come if you're in Seattle around, come visit them. Such a lovely. Uh, you feel like you are with Osho. We have not seen Osho in body, but when we meet people like Santi and Suvan, we feel like we have not missed anything. Okay, thank you so much, Santi.
Bye.